Hey guys, welcome back to some more reviews. Today the Explorer 4 is going to be taking a look at a film called Schizo. This is a 1976 film, gets a 5.7 on IMDb, directed by Pete Walker. Now, there have been many films that I've watched over the years, and as I've said before, when it comes to a movie review, I'm always going to give you guys my honest opinion on a film. Whether I like it, don't like it, and in very few cases, hate movies. Very few cases. I'm always honest. If I'm not a fan of a movie, if I am a fan of a movie, if I think the movie's okay, I'm always honest. And point in case, there's a film called Torture Duckling. Everybody loves it. The critics love it. The fans love it. I'm not particularly a big fan of that movie. I've given my reasons in depth in that review. I could even link it below if I can remember to link it. But I'm not a big fan of that movie. Just not a movie for me. I love Fulci. I love Zombie and City of the Living Dead and The Beyond. Cat in the Brain. So I am a Fulci fan. It's just Torture Duckling really isn't my kind of movie. Not a terrible movie, just not a movie that I would really watch a whole lot. And that's kind of how I would describe this movie, Schizo. This is a film that I remember hearing about. I believe it got in the Video Nasties list, if I'm not mistaken. After I just got done burping there. But I believe it was on the Video Nasties list, and I believe it has a cult following. And I've heard about this movie plenty of times, and the poster always intrigued me. I love the way the poster looks. So I figured, for a while now I've been wanting to watch it. The idea of having a horror film centered around the idea of... That didn't sound right. The idea of a horror film being centered around the idea... Let me rephrase that. The idea of a horror film centering around schizophrenia, I think is very interesting and a very intriguing idea. And it could have been a great film. This movie could have been great. It could have had a great story to it. It could have had a phenomenal aspect to the film. But for me, this movie, I'm not a big fan of it. This movie was very disappointing for me. And I'll get into the reasons why in a minute. But the story, you have a girl getting married. She is beginning to get stalked by this guy. You think that maybe when she was a kid, this is the guy that murdered her mom, and now he's after her. And this is an hour and 49-minute movie of just this guy stalking her, tracking her down. She goes to her therapist and tries to talk to him. He doesn't believe her for some reason. And all these people she keeps telling about this guy stalking her, they don't believe her. Nobody believes her until her friend one day ends up seeing this guy. And then she finally believes in this stalker character. But this is one of those movies that I felt it could have been really awesome. Because like I said, you could have done this idea that of a killer with schizophrenia and have it be where is this person seeing, or what we're seeing reality, or is it altered reality? Is it reality through this person's eyes, through their mind? And it could have been a great story to that, But really, when you're watching this movie, the whole Schizo title gives away the ending. Because there are certain points in the movie where you're like, alright, that doesn't add up, this doesn't add up. There's no way that this is, how is this person stalking her and doing all this stuff but not getting caught? It's one of those things. And why would the killer knock this girl out? The killer is there to kill her. I guess they were trying to set this thing where he's going to get revenge on her because he killed her mom. So the killer is trying to murder her, but she gets knocked out by him, or she faints, and she wakes up and she's still alive. And I'm like, alright, so why would the killer leave her alive, or not kidnap her, or do anything? He just left her there? I don't know. The twist of the movie I could see it coming a mile away. And it's a movie that, for a slasher film, it's not much of a slasher movie. I mean, the deaths really don't have much to them. And they're very spaced apart. One death scene is a guy getting his throat slit, the psychologist, the psychologist guy. Or, I guess you could say psychologist therapist guy. He gets his throat slit in his car. One person gets hit with his mallet in the head. I will say this, though. It does have one awesome death scene that I really liked. It was really, really well done, where this, needle gets shoved to the back of her head and out through her eye cheek area right here. That was a very well done death scene and very brutal and very like holy shit, holy crap, like, you know, it was a very shocking scene. But I mean, I guess I can say spoiler alert for the ending, but really, even if you watch the movie, you can tell where the story's going. So I guess spoiler alert, we'll get to in a second, but I will be spoiling this movie. But like, it's one of those things where it's like I'm watching it and I'm going, wow, like this could have been something done differently, because really this guy shows no signs of being a schizophrenic. He's just a stalker. It could be called the stalker movie or the killer stalker, you know, rather than schizo, because schizo made me go, well, schizophrenia, and even at the beginning of the movie it says the definition of schizophrenia. I'm like, well, if the definition of it is you're seeing hallucinations and the reality and hallucinations are mixing, then what if our lead, you know? And I was like, well, what is it, our lead? And, you know, I guess I could say, just to get to the bottom line of this movie before getting to the spoilers, I kind of did there for a second, but it is what it is. It's an older movie. It's a 1976 film. If you haven't seen this movie yet, then check it out. But I did say spoilers. But as far as positive things go, I mean, it's not a horrible film. It has positives to it. I do think it's rather filmed very well. I do think the acting isn't bad per se. I do think the blood and gore is there for what it is. It's decent, practical effects. Although there are times where it does look like just they took red paint and just put it on somebody's face. But I can't complain. It's practical effects. I appreciate that. Cinematography, I don't know if I said that yet, but it was pretty decent. As far as an atmosphere goes, decent. But for really everything else, the music, the events of the movie, the story, the characters really weren't engaging. There are certain points that made me go like, what the fuck? Like, there's a scene where our lead is going crazy and hearing voices in her head in this marketplace. I'm thinking, alright, she's hearing voices, she's seeing things, okay. And then there's a point where this girl goes to, it's completely out of nowhere. She goes to the seance, and I guess I could get, this is the spoiler zone. My rating for this movie is a 5 out of 10, 5.5 out of 10 being generous. Not really a movie for me, not a big fan of it. Not a terrible movie, not a movie that's garbage, just not really a movie that I thought was anything tremendously special. It's just a kind of an average movie for me. One that didn't really interest me that much, and really, honestly, one that kind of disappointed me because I was really interested in the idea of schizophrenic, like the schizophrenic killer. Maybe it's this and that could be happening, but really, when you watch the movie, you realize where they're going to go with it. But yeah, I was very intrigued by it, interested by it. I seen it, and it disappointed for me. But I'm going to give it a 5, 5.5 out of 10. This is going to be the end of the non-spoiler review. Spoilers now. The ending you can see coming a mile away. And there are just like scenes where, like I said, she goes to this seance or whatever. That they're gonna summon the dead and like listen to the dead, and I was thinking, where did this come from? Where the hell did this come from? And she's there, and this lady gets possessed. This is a slasher film, by the way. Up to this point, it's been pretty grounded in reality. She gets possessed and her eyes bulge out, and she has this weird voice that says dialogue, and I don't remember what the dialogue that they said, but she said some dialogue that I guess this lead character kind of remembers or something. She says this dialogue in a weird voice, and then she gets unpossessed. She's like, oh, I don't remember what happened. I was possessed. I don't know what happened. I don't remember anything. And that was just like such an out-of-nowhere scene. And that girl that did the seance, for some reason, she gets killed. Although I don't really know why she gets killed. She just does, I guess, for the body count reasons. In the end of the movie, the girl confronts this stalker dude after her friend almost gets killed by this guy. And I guess the maid got killed as well. Here's another thing that I thought was weird. The twist hasn't happened yet. But she takes the dead body of the maid that got murdered, and instead of calling the police or reporting it or running away or anything like that, she hides the body in a closet. And I'm like, why? If this girl is an innocent woman, if she's innocent and she hasn't done anything, the twist hasn't happened yet, there's no twist yet, why is she hiding a dead body in the closet? Like, why would she do that? So at that point, red flags just all over the place. And, of course, she confronts this guy, pushes the stalker guy off the top of this place. He gets killed, comes back to life and scares her, and she realizes that, oh, she's the schizo. She's got schizophrenia. And she's the psycho. Because when she was a kid, she murdered her mom because her mom and her mom's boyfriend were, like, you know, having sex or whatever. And then she, I guess, snapped, went upstairs, killed the mom. Then the boyfriend got blamed for it. And now she snapped and has created this stalker guy up in her head. Or maybe he did exist, or I don't know. You get the idea that maybe she was the killer the whole time. And the movie ends with her just basically, she's crazy. And she was the killer all along. And it was a twist that really I seen coming a mile away. That's why I was like, wow, like, it's just disappointing because it could have been more effective. It could have been more well done. It could have been more impactful. But I do want to say this movie is not horrible. It's not terrible. Not a bad movie at all. You know, there was effort put into this movie. There was time put into this movie, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate the fact that it is a slasher film and has practical effects. But for me, just had a lot of problems. And was disappointing. And was a movie that, for me, just wasn't my cup of tea. Just wasn't my thing, and I really didn't like it that much. 5 out of 10 for me, 5.5 being generous. Not a bad movie, not terrible, but not great. I probably won't ever watch it again. Not a bad movie, though. I will say this, it's not a bad movie. If you like slashers, if you like, I believe this is a UK film? I believe it's a UK film. UK horror slasher film. If you like psychological mind movies, slashers from the 70s, if you like those kind of movies, you might like this movie. It's not a bad movie at all. It's not really one that I really got into. But, yeah, 5.5 out of 10 for me. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this in the comments below. If you have seen this movie, thank you guys so much for watching. The Explorer 4 is out, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.